How would it feel to have a thriving fitness business and have the freedom to enjoy life at the fullest? Well, that is exactly what the Trainer Revenue Multiplier Show is going to give you. My name is Mathew Park. This is Jaime Filer.
Hey guys.
And we are here to serve.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Trainer Revenue Multiplier Show. My name is Jaime Filer and I am joined by Professor Park. Mathew, how are you doing?
Jaime Turbo Filer, the mentor in TRM. I am doing amazing. It's good to see those pearly white smile of yours. Post-show after your show here this weekend, over in Boston, kicking butt over there, winning trophies and taking names.
I'm trying, right? How you do one thing is how you do everything. So I'm trying to win at life.
Well, you brought home like three trophies, something like that, or 3 medals.
I have 3 in 1 second. So I'm coming at that for that last one. I can't end my season with a number 2.
And now Worlds. What, in 2 weeks? 1 week?
Yeah, 1 week.
Oh my gosh. You are an absolute warrior.
Thank you. So let's talk about today's topic, which we are coming fresh off of our platinum call.
Yeah.
And the theme was relatively the same. And it was about lead generation, but specifically capital E evergreen lead generation. Mathew, what is evergreen lead generation?
You bet. So basically, it's when you take something and produce something once, and obviously that one production of whatever you created is going to multiply and basically create efforts on a platforms over the course of time to create more leads over time. So it's basically one thing you produce has multiplication effects over months and years to come.
Yes. So I think the value there is that it's not like, hey, I'm taking on 3 new people, or hey, I'm doing a launch in 6 weeks. Whenever you want it, your evergreen content, lead magnet, podcast, whatever, it's just always there for consumption.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So why is that important, right? Why is that more important than doing, a challenge 3 times a year, every 4 months?
Great question, Jaime. I think, as you grow your business, of course, to 6 figures, 7 figures and beyond, the biggest thing right now becomes very strategic, because now as you're out there, now it's working, how do I work smarter in my business and do things where you produce something that has multiplied effects, that creates lead gen over time, that, and of course, now your efforts get multiplied better and more smarter and better ways. So as your business, keeps growing higher 6 figures, more 6 figures, or whatever you're going into, the results is compound. It's almost like an investment. You invest in something, the first couple of months, maybe the first year isn't the greatest, but all of a sudden 2 years, oh my gosh, 5x, 10x.
Yeah, for sure. So that being said, are evergreens free? Do we charge people for them? What is the value there?
Yeah, evergreen is something usually there's no charge or price tag towards evergreen. Usually it's like more like work involved, right? So, for example, like you're an amazing writer, and of course you're like an expert powerhouse writer, and it's your craft, right? You write an amazing article, goes into Forbes or goes into some big magazine. All of a sudden, your article goes into SEO. It possibly goes into more platforms, more blogs. You purpose that to more platforms yourself, and all of a sudden, 5,000 people see that article you wrote in Forbes for the next 5 years or 3 years, right? And almost you generate more leads back into your business. So that's ultimately what it comes into, is like not so much paying for it. Maybe you pay certain platforms, but more so doing something that takes a little more work in the initial, but you can leverage it more over time.
I love that. But that being said, I could also create a $10 ebook.
Yeah.
And that's something that people can purchase whenever. And I can talk about that on all my podcasts. So an evergreen could be a tool that you do charge for.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Cool. So I love that you said, Jaime, you're a writing machine. I'm flattered. Thank you. How do people know what evergreen lead gens they should target?
Great question. So right now, look at your business right now and ask yourself, what do you have or what do you do right now in your business? So if you're doing social media stuff, beautiful. Then just look at that aspect of social media. You're making video reels. Maybe just make a little bit longer video and get deeper with education on that video. Have it produced into like 3 or 4 or 5 reels. have that video go into a YouTube, have it transcribed to go to a blog, and now it can be like SEO'd, and now you've got 3 different ways. And those social reels might go on TikTok, Instagram, longer version goes on Facebook. It just gets repurposed, right?
So you start with the one that comes most naturally to you. You start with the one that's easiest. You start with the one that's fastest.
Basically, whatever you're doing, like whatever obviously is in your strength zone. So, obviously right now you're making a lot of videos, Jaime. Obviously you write a lot of content as well. So you might take, something you've written, over, of course your demographic, and have this as an article that maybe you make a video on as well too, right? That goes into your, of course, you and Katie's YouTube channel, your YouTube yourself. And of course you cut 5 reels from that amazing video you just made, right? So it goes down to your strengths. And if you've already written an ebook or you have material you've already created, just basically make it into something you already got. Like you already built that stuff.
For sure.
And repurpose that and leverage it that way. Yeah.
So I love that you brought up the magazine for me. You mentioned the podcast, transcribe it, put it on a bunch of platforms, but you gave a very interesting example for both Jace and Amanda on the platinum calls. And I would love for you to go over those for people who might not feel comfortable going on a podcast yet, or even know how to write an article for Forbes. So if you could go into Jace first and then your example for Amanda.
100%. So of course, right now, for you guys on the call right now, of course, have more of a brick and mortar or retail style facility, or you're a trainer in a gym and you're still doing a lot of training in the gym and so forth. Of course, the example for Jace, he has a gym with about 6 coaches right now, of course, at the gym. So for his angle, of course, he has quite a big database of people that know him in his area, which is great. We talked about a plastic surgeon and also a chiro clinic as well for his business model. We use chiro, obviously, as example number 1. So, of course, he has a chiro contact, which is fantastic. They have a database of probably 500 plus customers and more. We talked about basically having a value information pack that, again, you can probably make for like 10 cents each, or a brochure of some kind. Again, always value driven, solves key problems, and provides solutions in this document. It could be a Word doc that you have stapled up. It could be a brochure, you make it staples. It could be even something, an envelope that you put as well to whatever you want to provide. You invest $200, get 500 of these made, give them to your actual partner, for example, the chiro clinic. And from there, every client that comes in that door every day gets one of these little brochures. If 30 people go in the door every single day for stuff, you get 30 people get that information. They read it, they consume it. Oh my gosh, I learned how to fix my back issue, my posture, fix my hamstring flexibility, and decrease inflammation. They're like, this guy knows, this guy's amazing. I want to call this guy or talk to this guy. So now Jason are generating leads, evergreen style, because they have this partnership with the chiro. So it becomes a routine. This happens all the time.
Yeah. And I think the most important thing you said, other than finding the chiro in the first place, because that's the biggest issue, is the where, is solve their clients' problems.
Yeah.
Because now not only are you making yourself look good, but more importantly, you're making the chiro look good, because now it's like, wow, my chiro knows everybody. What an incredible resource. I'm so glad I'm going to him, and I'm going to continue to go to him because he's got this guy now, Jace, who's coming in with all this value.
100%. Totally.
I love it. And then Amanda.
Yeah. So with Amanda's, for example, she has a studio gym, of course, in the Ontario region. And we talked about, for her, of course, with her studio, she's more of a personal training online coach. Of course, you coach her, Jaime, right now. You coach her, and right now she's hit a record month, which is phenomenal for her business, which is phenomenal. We talked about for Amanda is go to her database. She found a contact that has a finance business locally, which is great, with 75 employees, which is fantastic. Amanda already has an ebook already done. It's already finished. It's already complete. Go to Staples, print off the ebook probably for, I don't know, maybe $3 or $4 a piece, and have a little hard cold and so forth, or whatever you want to have for the ebook. And basically give the contact, of course, know, likes, and trust Amanda already. So that ebook would go as a Christmas gift to the finance person who actually owns the business. It goes to all the employees of the company. And all of a sudden now all the employees are reading Amanda's amazing ebook, basically in print form for $3 a piece. And Amanda could generate 10, 20, 30 leads just from that ebook style model. Again, like you mentioned, Jaime, the ebook, of course, would solve key problems, for the employees in the finance. So maybe it's postural stuff, nutrition stuff, whatever they want to talk about. And the other way is to take the ebook and turn it into a lead magnet. Of course, you're an expert there. You and Laurent, of course, are experts in that category, and turn that basically into a lead magnet, of course, that generates emails and contacts through online generation as well too.
Yep. And again, it cost that finance person nothing, because all they did was take your printed out ebook, but it really gave them everything, because now their employees are like, wow, totally didn't expect this. This is so random, but thank you for valuing our health. That's really kind, right? Again, making your client look good to their employees. They want to stick around. They feel good.
100%, Jaime, 100%. Totally. I'm curious if you don't mind me asking you if I could, Jaime, because of course, you've been in the writing industry and fitness industry for 15 years, right? So evergreen, like, again, you're an awesome writer. Of course, you can pat your hat because of course you've written for many, many years. I'm curious, like with all the contacts in the industry, from Muscle Insider, probably Muscle, all these names you worked with before in the past. I'm just curious, throwing it out to you. Would that be is there a way you actually could evergreen your stuff or leverage your stuff in those categories to bring a business to Jaime Filer Fitness?
Absolutely. I totally could. Writing is as old as time, right? Like caveman on the wall style. And I don't think it'll ever go out of style. However, the reading that I'm doing is really telling me that SEO is favoring Instagram and YouTube. The search engine that people are optimizing is no longer Google and Yahoo, but it's people are searching for what they need as video format. So to answer your question, yeah, I could use my contacts, but I wouldn't use them to write an article. I would use them to collaborate with on a reel, or I would use them to go live with, or I would make a YouTube video interviewing them. So I would choose a different medium, but still, I guess parlay my contacts.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You almost would take those, do almost like a video or reel style kind of interview style process, and then repurpose that basically on your platforms.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
great.
Could definitely do that. So the other thing to mention about putting this out, you got to have a solid call to action. Right? Because, okay, wow, Mathew Park just delivered an epic podcast with Mike O'Hearn. Fantastic. He served the audience. But now what? Where do we go from here, Mathew? I've just written an article from Forbes. Amanda has just given the finance person 100 ebooks. You just went live with Mike O'Hearn. What now?
100%. So call to action, of course, will come into what, obviously right now you want to have contacts at least coming into for your business. So whether it's going to be a call to action of, hey, consult call, right? Download the information for the ebook, downloadable. Whether it's going to be, hey, enter into our challenge, like the 5-day challenge. Really, the call to action, of course, and whatever basically best lines for your business model. And typically in TRM, the consult call, usually the application call, is the most popular we have in TRM. But you might do a 5-day challenge. You might do a 1-month challenge. You might do just enter the newsletter list, to get our weekly newsletter, whatever basically it is. But having something that, of course, is easy to get into. There's a one action. It's like, here's the URL, here's the phone number, here's our form to fill out. And of course, that makes things very smooth in the whether you're verbally saying it or through written form.
I love that. So another thing to mention is, so you addressed quality of call to action, but let's address quantity. And I love that Laurent capped off our platinum talk because, Mathew, you said on the platinum call, you never know when a podcast is going to hit 1 billion downloads out of nowhere. You'll never know when your YouTube video goes viral. You'll never know when Forbes picks up. So you have to be prepared. And we say this all the time in TRM, for 500 leads to come in at a time. So if your call to action hits because your evergreen lead gen tool went viral in whatever form or medium that was, you have to have your back end system set up for it. So your lead gen, your evergreen lead gen is only as good as your back end being able to handle them.
100%. That is so critical. And that's, Jaime, that's something that you do so very well in your business. Of course, Laurent does from TRM for members as well, too. But like you said, you don't know who's going to hit. Like you might be just hitting the podcast over. All of a sudden, there's one podcast. The person listens, shares the podcast, or the YouTube video goes viral. All of a sudden, like you said, it just takes that one opportunity to hit things. And all of a sudden, boom, you 10x your lead generation flow.
Yes. Yeah. 100%. So again, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to be bold. Don't even bother creating the tool unless you can handle the volume, because then you're going to end up overwhelmed, right?
Oh, I love that, Jaime. I love that. I love
Yes. You almost have to work backwards, right? If you had 50 new people come in, at least just for calls, console calls, would you be able to handle them? How would you filter them into your Calendly or your engine calendar system?
That is really cool. So on that topic, Jaime, for you there, so share some thoughts if you don't mind. So for example, let's say that you blew up, 500 people in one day, right? So would you be offering the consult call, or would you be offering the newsletter? What exactly do you think is best suited for that sort of situation? Just kind of curious your open thoughts on that.
So my process is the ebook that Katie and I created about anti-gym anxiety. And then there's a 7-day follow-up sequence. And then the 7th day is book a call, which takes them to the landing page that Laurent set up for us. Yeah. And then of course, I mean, it's not evergreen, but there's always the, hey, book a consult call if you're interested, but that's not a lead gen tool. The lead gen tool is the ebook, the 7 days of value, and then 7th day, hey, if you liked what you heard, there's more where that came from.
I love that. Oh, that is really, really good, Jaime. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So lead meg, of course, with the ebook first, and of course, call on the 7th day, correct?
Yeah. And then like you said, and like Alvin said too, right? At the end of every podcast, a gracious host will always say, where can we find you? Or what do you have launching? It always goes back to the anti-gym anxiety ebook. That's my evergreen. That's my thing.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Yeah. So when on your call, are you offering that call only on the 7th day, or do you offer the call earlier in the 7-day sequence?
I mean, I don't offer it until the 7th day, but sometimes after the 3rd day, people will be like, holy crap, you've already helped me. Do you coach people? Or like, can you help me with my nutrition now that I'm comfortable in the gym? So sometimes I'll have to click like the stop button so that they don't get asked on the 7th day because we have a call on the 3rd or the 4th.
That is such a good point to kind of recall in this convo, because like, as you mentioned, is you're offering probably pain point solutions, right, in your email sequence, which is such a valuable thing to share in today's talk. Yeah. That value drive, the jab, Gary V, philosophy, you're putting on the head with your audience, which is phenomenal to hear that, right?
Yeah. I also think it's important to note that if you're going to give away something for free, there should be a sequence. Because if I'm at a networking event with a bunch of high-powered professionals and I bring 10 business cards, I don't know who I handed them out to. I don't remember where they went. And now someone that may have been an epic prospect is walking around with a business card and they may or may not call me. But the value of a sequence is that you don't stop calling them. So they download your stuff. They've expressed interest. I am going to be like a relentless Rottweiler following up. So as soon as someone downloads your ebook, or as soon as the finance guy gives your ebook to someone else, there should be a way for you to keep track of where that stuff is going.
I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. 100%. Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Mathew, about evergreen? Or
well, I think the thing right to keep in mind with evergreen, guys, is that as you advance in your fitness business, of course, when you first kind of get the ball rolling, it's important, but obviously as you advance to 10K, 20K a month and more, it becomes very important, because now your efforts, of course, are going into like, hey, more sales calls, more coaching, more clients, and your time becomes just extremely, every hour means something. As you know, Jen, you're the time management machine, so it's your forte. Yep. And so think about this right now in your company, what you can be doing to maximize that, but also like, guys, there's no need to pay for this stuff. Like, minimize your, you may pay $100 to go to Staples and make some ebooks up. But if you're 10 leads from that, it was like 100x on your investment, probably even more. So it all comes into like just thinking differently, and not just like, how busy can I be doing all this stuff, but how can I just do 1 or 2 or 3 things really well and then have them reproduce that'll generate for me over time.
So perfect. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. So it doesn't cost you much, but sometimes you spend money to make money.
Any thoughts from Jaime you want to share on your end?
My gosh. I think the only 2 points that I would say is, if you are going to have a lead magnet like an ebook, make sure that it solves specific problems. No fat loss, no muscle gain, right? We want helping busy dads sleep better and manage their time more efficiently. Okay. So make it very clear and concise. And then also make sure that even if it means you have to be a little bit patient and say no, only pick the right opportunity. Don't pick every opportunity. You're not going to say yes to every podcast. You're not going to say yes to every magazine, because that's your reputation. So you have to make sure that you are only going for where your audience is.
That's so true. And I think too, when you look at your audience, guys, is that look in the spaces where people right now are forgetting to look. So for example, you mentioned Jason and Amanda. Most people right now are forgetting brick and mortar, or like just face-to-face stuff, evergreen stuff. Like you build a partnership like that, whether it's a chiro or a supplement store or a retail store or whatever you're going to do, right?
Yeah.
Or even a business colleague that you obviously know. Most people aren't doing any of those things, right? They're always online doing Facebook ads, which again, online is awesome, but it's very saturated. So if we can go over here and then use both and build evergreen and kind of like model off of that, you're going to build bulletproof evergreen lead gen over time that may not explode the first couple of weeks, but in 3 or 4 months, all of a sudden you're seeing a 10x return on your leads, and they're good leads. They're quality leads that are like following you. Here's an example, Jamie. We talked about this was a couple of weeks ago. 2 people joined TRM recently who are veteran coaches, right? And they watched our podcast for almost a month, or even before they even joined TRM. They were researching us over and over and over again. Like these, Jamie and Matt and the team know our stuff. Now I'm going to join TRM now. So sometimes those things you're doing on the back end, whether it's a podcast or videos or social media or writing content, they happen at a certain time, but they're kind of working themselves in the background.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So great. Mathew, you're brilliant. As always, thank you so much for all of the wisdom you provide on this podcast.
Vice versa, Jamie. You're an absolute freaking turbo wisdom machine. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. You bring the fire, the knowledge, the leadership, and the wisdom. You rock, Jamie.
Thank you so much. And those of you listening, we appreciate you. And if you appreciate us, we would definitely love for you to share, rate, subscribe to this podcast. Let's boost us up on the algorithm. Make sure that you share it on your Facebook, Instagram, if you received value, if you derived value, if it helped your business. And looking forward to seeing you all here again next week. Take care, guys.